Okay, day 3. So let's start with our warm-ups. So we're going to be starting with a froggy squat. So we are squatting down, getting the elbows inside of the knees, keeping the hands on the floor. We're just going to push your hips up to the ceiling as high as they can go, with keeping your fingers touching the ground. So this one's going to be stretching out your lower back and your hamstrings. We're going into the child position, into a cobra. So starting with your arms above you, pushing your head into your knees, we're going to come forward into like a push-up position, and then keeping the hips touching the ground, we're going to push the shoulders away from the floor, looking up to the ceiling. So pushing up, looking up to the ceiling, stretching out the abs, coming down, and then sliding back down into the child position, stretching out the shoulders. And into our thoracic windmills. So again, probably need some more space than I have here. But what we're trying to do is just push the hand forward. We're going to go up to 12 o'clock, turn the palm up, come all the way to 3 o'clock. We should be touching the floor still there, and then closing the book. And our last warm-up exercise is the bird dogs. So similar to our Supermans, but now we're alternating each side. So now what we're going to do is squeeze your leg up using your glutes, so your bum's nice and tight, and we're going to push the arm up and away from our body as far as we can. So again, it's a stretching exercise. We're really going to feel like we're getting pulled apart. So round 1, 4 rounds, 20 seconds rest between each round, starting with Bulgarians. Okay, so again, we want that rear foot elevated, and we don't want to be putting any pressure on that rear foot. Okay, so all of the force should be coming from the front foot, and particularly again through the heel of that front foot, like we always do, squeezing your butt and that front leg. So we're going into a Cossack squat. So again, this one's going to be testing your your range of motion and also your flexibility. So what we want to try and do is sort of alternate each leg that we're squatting down onto. So you can sort of see here I'm turning my body towards the straight leg, and we're going to come down and again try and drive through the heel of that foot that we're putting the pressure on. And some of you may be able to get all the way down. Obviously, I can't get as far. Going into our prone broomstick or towel press. So I'm using a little tea towel. You guys can use a broomstick. It doesn't really matter. So we want to get the hands about shoulder width apart. We're going to be keeping the arms off of the ground the whole time. And we're just going to bring the towel or bar down to the back of your head and then pushing back up again. And then turning over, we're going to go into some dead bugs. So again, we want to keep the shoulders off of the ground so it keeps our core engaged. And we are dropping one leg and the opposite arm down to the floor, coming back, resetting, and then using the opposite arm and opposite leg. Okay, so into round 2, again, 4 rounds, 20 seconds rest between each round, starting with some Carl Lewis's. So what we're going to do is keep the feet reasonably close together. We're going to push off through the toe of the rear foot and through the heel of the front foot. We're collapsing all the way down to touch your bum to the rear foot's heel, and then pushing up as high as we can, but keeping those fingers touching the ground. So we've got a wall sit. This one's pretty simple. So we're just sitting against the wall 90 degrees. If you want to make it a bit more difficult, you can put your arms out in front of you. And then we're going into our shoulder taps. So we're in push-up position, and we are just raising one hand off of the ground, touching the opposite shoulder. If you need to, you can go onto your knees to do this one to make it a little bit easier, but try and do it on your feet for as long as you can. And then we're going to go into our side plank pulses. So we're in a side plank position. So again, our shoulder should be over the elbow. Okay, so we want to make sure that we aren't putting too much pressure on that shoulder joint. And we're just going to drop the hips down and push them up as high as we can, keeping your feet together.